Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and we are back with another mock draft, PPR style, and this time, it's Doomsday. That's right. We're going to go back to back in terms of where we're drafting today. So we are going 4 in a row, and that is with my three best friends here, the Welsh, Scott Bogman, and the Athletics' own Jake Ciely joining us today for this PPR mock draft. Again, this is going to be a good time. We're going to be using our draft simulator, which is Draft Wizard. If you haven't used Draft Wizard, what the hell are you doing with your time? Again, go out there, use the multi-user draft software, use the draft simulator, mock till you drop, mock out with your cell phone out, and that way you can go ahead and get ahead of all of your competition. Sync your leagues for free over at Fantasy Pros. Download the app, download Draft Wizard, and get mocking today. Gentlemen, this should be a good time here. We've got a fun setup. None of us are the one pick. People were complaining, why is Joe the one pick? I was just the 12 pick the other day, but that's not good enough for you people. So we just randomly got in here, and now we're going to go ahead and make this work. So I'm picking at the 4, Welsh is picking at the 5, Jake is picking at the 6, and Scott Bogman is picking at the 7 spot here today, as I'm sure this is going to make my job much harder, but that's part of the fun, isn't it? Because I've got to do reads and all the other fun things. Jake Ciely, what's new at The Athletic? I haven't seen you in a couple days.
I haven't seen you in a while. I'm just upset we can't get this collection together for Flex this weekend.
I know.
We need,
well, don't blame me.
We need to make it happen for these two jokers. Share some New York gelato for a change. They see, Joe, you haven't shared gelato with them yet. See, that's the thing. It's like the three best friends have to do. Anyway, The Athletic.
You know what? Welsh, have I shared gelato with you?
We've had some desserts, though. We had some. Remember, we did the buffet in Vegas. We've had some delicacies have been consumed.
There you go. Bogman, I'll be happy to share gelato with you if you like. During the show, after the show, whatever works for you guys. So
The Athletic is nice timing. Just to throw it out real quick, our draft kit is finally coming out this week.
Oh,
we want to be last in the gate this year. We want to be different.
Well, they always say if you're not first, you're last. That's what I've been told anyway. All right, so the draft is underway. We've got 1 QB, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs. We've got a tight end. And yes, Flex Draft is this weekend. So I will be there. Derek Brown's coming over my house. Going to be a good time. We will be going to New York City to see Jake Ciely hanging out. Maybe little D-Bro. Who knows, might make an appearance. There he is. Fresh off of last year's draft because Derek Brown's flight got canceled. So we had to bring that little monstrosity with us at his place. Yeah, that's right. So Jamar Chase goes 1, Bijan goes 2, CeeDee Lamb goes 3. I took Justin Jefferson 4 in this PPR mock because I believe in J.J. McCarthy, even if it's a slow September. So what? The kid will be fine. Kevin O'Connell's a genius. I'm good with Justin Jefferson at the 4 spot. We'll roll with that. Welsh, you're up at 105. Where are you going here in this PPR madness?
It's a little bit tougher. Not going to lie. A tiny bit tougher just because the big wide receivers are done. Running back is an interesting situation. I'm actually going to go, and I usually am not going to follow this. I'm going to go the tippy top of where the draft assistant and the draft wizard here is telling me to do it with Jahmyr Gibbs. And simply because Jahmyr Gibbs in a full PPR with all those receptions and all of that offensive run he's going to have. We know he was one of the top backs at the final end of the season here. I love Jahmyr Gibbs in this situation over Barkley. Kind of wanted to go running back in the middle here because of the wideouts, but I did think very hard on a wide receiver. But I'm going to lock up Jahmyr Gibbs here as I expect some running backs to go between my next pick.
All right, Boggs, what do you think that new offense is going to look like here with Ben Johnson gone? What do you think? They see some more wrinkles about maybe even more Jahmyr Gibbs, if that's possible, in 2025. That certainly would even boost his fantasy value further. Does he have a shot at being number 1 overall with that news?
Yeah, of course. I think he for sure does. I mean, he was close last year anyway, right? And I think in Detroit, you know, yes, things are going to change, but it's kind of the if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I don't think you're going to see wild, drastic change, maybe some personnel change. But as far as play calling goes, I think we'll get a lot of the same.
And clearly, Detroit is back because Eminem dropped a Detroit What line in the great classic Happy Gilmore 2. So Detroit Lions back because of that awesome hit.
Boy, oh boy.
You know what's really good is when you're miserable and you hate everything. That's awesome. So
I just thought he was trying to do a Mark Wahlberg impression the entire time.
Yeah, seriously.
Hey, alligator, say hi to your mom.
Say hi to your
my arm.
Nice mock draft. Say hello to your mother for me. Welsh was not as big of a fan of Happy Gilmore 2. I thought it was fun And Bogman, who also enjoys his life, also thought it was fun. Jake Ciely, where were you at with it?
I thought it was fun. It was like a 6 or a 7. It was just a good laugh for 2 hours.
Yeah, it's fine.
The first half was better than the second half. So
Feels like this is the biggest debate
7.
since politics. Whether you liked or didn't like Happy Gilmore too. It
It's
was
not.
fine.
Yeah.
It,
No,
it
you-
wasn't
you
the best
three.
thing
That's-
ever,
that's great.
but Welsh hates it and wants it burned. At
I
the
love
stake.
Jameer Gibbs, though. Remember, Detroit's back. That's
Yes,
all.
yes, yes.
Eminem
Let's
made an
get to
appearance in that
Detroit
movie,
Ciely's.
so they're back.
Oh, my God. Let's get to Jake Ciely's first pick here. He took his dog's namesake, Saquon Barkley. So, look, Jake, obviously there's value there at 106 for sure. But there's also risk, right? 436 carries. That's a lot of carries. History in the last 25 years has its eye on those running backs, and none of them have had good seasons the next year. Almost none of them have even finished as an RB1, let alone RB1 overall. So this is tough here because we always go into these situations where, Sean Alexander is league MVP, and Eddie George, and Edgerrin James, and again, the list goes on and on and on. Arian Foster, where we go, they're going to be the best running back in football next year. No one ever thinks it's going to go wrong. So how much risk is there with Saquon as opposed to maybe going with a Malik Neighbors or a Puka Nacua and avoiding that risk altogether in the first round?
So I'm looking at the draft right now where I'm at 207, and I would actually roll back my pick if I could. I was seeing how the draft might
luckily,
fall.
Jake, you can do that on the draft simulator. Draft Wizard.
look at that.
If you don't like it, you can't do it right
Man of
now.
the people.
Yeah, but you can do it. Other people can do it. You just can't right now.
And you have 15
I would
seconds
love to.
left.
So I'm going to answer your question and add the other part to it. Is I was debating going wide receiver there. The difference is I have Saquon Barkley in tier 1 of running backs, and I was already to tier 2 of my wide receivers. And I thought about actually neither of the wide receivers you mentioned. I was thinking about going Amon-Ra St. Brown, especially in a full point PPR. I think people are giving him too much hate for last year, and he was still a top 7 wide receiver. The guy was number 1 or 2 or 3 2 years ago.
Detroit
If you
what?
get in between them? Yeah, Detroit what? Alligator what? Take my arm. Anyway, but like I'm not that concerned about Barkley with the workload. This goes to like if nobody's concerned about Derrick Henry, and I know he's another freak of nature, body size, but like Derrick Henry's coming off how many touches for how many years in a row, and everybody's like, 1 year Saquon Barkley, I'm out. Like I don't get it.
All right, you realize, Jake, you could have taken Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? You had that choice. You didn't have to
I know
take
that's what I was
St.
saying.
Brown. I know, but
No, I was
you
saying
seem
I was
upset about it.
considering wide receiver. I was going with my tier 1 running back because I still had one left, and that being Saquon Barkley. Seeing what the running backs that were still on the board in round 2, I would have, if I could, hindsight, go back, take St. Brown, and then taking a running back that was there, like Bucky Irving or Chase Brown.
Joe, put the hand sanitizer down and focus on the show, please. Please.
Pulling a lot of good lines out of that bad movie.
Yeah, right, Bugs?
Bangers. These are
I
bangers.
was thinking the same thing, bro. I was thinking the same
These
thing.
are bangers.
Here's a fun thing, too. After Saquon Barkley, Malik Neighbors goes to Scott Bogman. So, Boggs, let's talk about your 107 pick here of Malik Neighbors as we are
PPR,
in
baby.
PPR, baby.
And
I love this.
This dude had so many targets last year with horrific quarterback play. How many targets is he going to have this season with improved? I'm not going to say good. Improved quarterback play from Russell Wilson and Jackson Dart. I think could be substantial. So I was going to take Barkley. I was actually kind of surprised that Jake took Barkley, but
Me too.
I mean,
So was
Malik
Jake.
Neighbors is a great backup prize here.
Yeah, Jake was also very surprised he took Barkley. Devon Achane at 108, Puka Nacua at 109, Christian McCaffrey at 110, Ashton Genty at 11, and then Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Thomas at the turn. That's a sexy turn there for Team 12. Derrick Henry goes 202, then Nico Collins, Drake London, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then Brock Bowers, the big man at tight end, at 206 to Scott Bogman. Let's talk about that. Geno Smith already falling in love with his new tight end here, Brock Bowers.
Yeah, and I think, just like Malik Neighbors, you're going to see potentially improved numbers from Brock Bowers from the upgraded quarterback. It was Aiden O'Connell last season, which was just a miserable combination. So, obviously, this whole offense is going to change over. Ashton Genty is going to be leading it. He's going to be the main guy there. But I think Bowers is going to lead in targets by a wide margin among tight ends this season. And I'm not the biggest Geno guy, but I love Geno being in Vegas to throw to my guy Brock Bowers because he is a marked improvement over what they had last season.
Jake Ciely begins his Philadelphia Eagles stack here. A.J. Brown at 207. So in for a penny, in for a pound. I actually kind of like this because if Barkley's out, well, you got to throw the football more. So at least somebody else is going to eat here. But A.J. Brown here at 207, certainly a value you can't pass up. You had Lad McConkey there as well. He went next to Welsh. So were you happy with this selection, Jake, that you made? Or did you want to undo this one too? Just curious.
No, I think people are forgetting how good A.J. Brown has been. It just, like last year, he had points per game. Top 10 wide receiver, and everybody's like, yeah, I don't want A.J. Brown. He's too touchdown, big play reliant. I'm like, okay, really? It's A.J. Brown. Like, he's fine. He's top 10 every single year when healthy. Just because he played 13 games last year, I get it. Maybe that's the other. Give me all the Eagles. I'm going to draft Jalen Hurts, put him on my team next.
I was going to say, you can right now. He's on the board in 407, and you're on the clock. So I'll let you contemplate that. Lad McConkey goes to Welsh at 208. Welsh, what do you think here about getting Lad McConkey here? Certainly a breakout season last year as a rookie. My favorite sleeper last season, certainly now a second-round pick. That's a pretty good leap from year 1 to year 2.
I'm ecstatic about it. I'm super, super high on Lad McConkey. And to get him to fall into that mid-round is absolutely perfect for team construction because when you get into the full PPR, there are some slight changes. We are just heavily focused, obviously, on receptions. 82 catches on 112 targets this past season in 16 games. That was wide receiver 13 in full PPR. I think he's going to surpass that. I think he's going to touch 100, and you're talking about high-end wide receiver 1 upside. So to get him as my number 2 to go with Jahmyr Gibbs, where I get the running and receiving upside, loving the early construction, and I was like, please take A.J. Brown. Please take A.J. Brown so I could get Lad McConkey. But I was in a good situation where when it was coming up to you guys, I had either McConkey, Brown, or McBride. Like I was going to be able to kind of move in any of those directions, and Lad fell in my lap, and he was my easy pick.
All right. I took Tyreek Hill right after because, again, I just think the hate has gone a little too far on Tyreek Hill. Last year, disappointing, sure. But when you consider the disappointment is back-to-back 1,700-yard seasons, is there something maybe above 959 last year and 6 touchdowns? I think so. I think there is, and I think there's something else there potentially. So Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, the same thing I did last time, which is if I'm going to be somewhere and you give me Chase and Hill or Justin Jefferson and Hill, I'm going to take that because Hill is my number 2. I just can't pass that up. Bucky Irving at 210, then Garrett Wilson at 211, Jonathan Taylor at 212, followed by 301, Josh Jacobs, Trey McBride, Alvin Kamara. Back to me, and I went wide receiver again, big wide receiver build, Joey P. Devontae Adams at 304. He's a number 2 in this Rams offense this year, but if Puka Nacua misses time, he becomes that 1, and Devontae Adams just... Look, man, in the last 5 years, he is one of the top guys just consistently every year. I didn't see any drop-off really last year. 85 receptions, 8 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards for him. And now he's playing with Matthew Stafford. Hopefully that back holds up. He doesn't need that backiotomy. Next up is T. Higgins for the Welsh. T, 305, along with Lad McConkey. It's a pretty good start with Jahmyr Gibbs. What do you think of this build so far, Welsh?
Yeah, I wanted to get 2 wide receivers in those first 2, especially if you're going to make an investment on the early running backs. And T. Higgins was just another one of those guys who fell. I'm like, okay, I'm going to absolutely take that. Obviously, we know the highest pass attempts in the NFL from Joe Burrow. We know there's going to be a plethora of targets that are going to be out there. And of his last 5 games, or actually of his last 4 games, 3 of those were top 15 finishes with a number 1 overall. So it's really it's a huge volume play even as a number 2 wide receiver. And to get him in the 3rd round, lock it up there with Lad McConkey.
Okay. That's what she said.
Bingo.
The Xander Schauffele. Come on, those were great when he kept trying to pull
It's a classic original joke they got, too. That's great.
Oh, my God. All right, let's get to the next pick on the board. Before we do, quick reminder, right now, currently, Best Ball is at its peak right now, and that biggest fantasy contest at DraftKings is going on. We're talking about $15 million in guaranteed prize pool with 2 millionaires being crowned for the first and second place. That's pretty good. Play season-long fantasy football the DraftKings way with Best Ball. There's no waiver wires, no roster management. You get bigger rosters, so injuries won't end your season. Well, it might, but not really. Just draft your team and you're set. If a shot at winning a share of $15 million isn't enough to get you excited, well, check this out. DraftKings is offering everyone a draft one, get one special. How about them apples? Your $20 entry fee scores you a bonus ticket. Download DraftKings app and use that promo code FANTASYPROS. That's code FANTASYPROS for all customers who enter the NFL Best Ball 15 million millionaire contest to get a bonus ticket and get a shot at being crowned one of 2 millionaires only on DraftKings. So let's get back to the picks, gentlemen. And right now on the draft board here, after T. Higgins, Jake Ciely, Terry McLaurin. I love this value here. He's holding in. I'm holding my breath that they're going to get a deal because they need Terry McLaurin, and I just think this is just silly here at this point. So hopefully everything gets done. I'm not worried about any phantom injuries or any nonsense. I think it's all just a ploy. So I love this start here for you. You got your big-time running back. You got your 2 wide receiver ones. Very heavy NFC East, Jake Ciely. Very heavy NFC East.
Oh, yeah, go NFC East. Yeah, you get to face the Giants, but they might actually have a pressure this year. Look, the Terry McLaurin thing is just value. It just comes down to everything you just said, and the fact that Deebo Samuel, whatever he has left in his tank, is just going to do what they needed last year, and that's somebody to step as the 2, because they had a bunch of jabronis out there as the 2s last year. They tried to make Luke McCaffrey. They brought back, what's his nuts at the end of the year? What the heck is his name? The one that played for Jamison Crowder. They were just trying things at that number 2 option, and that Deebo is going to open things up for Terry downfield more. And I think that everybody's concerned about the touchdown efficiency from last year. I don't see necessarily as big as a drop-off because of that. I think that Deebo just answers the question of who's the 2 that can help Terry McLaurin repeat last year, if not improve.
Yeah, wow, that was a good pull there. I like that. You can't get enough of the selections there with Jamison Crowder being available there. Okay, let's get back here on the board after we have the selection of Terry McLaurin. Then back to you, Scott Bogman. Chase Brown at 307. So Brown, obviously another one too, who folks are looking for. Oh, okay, they're going to replace him. You know, maybe the beginning of the year. Last year, Zach Moss was in that rotation with him. But I feel like everyone keeps making excuses, Scott Bogman, and I feel like Chase Brown just keeps falling. And I think that at 307, that's a pretty good value.
Yeah, and that was really the point of taking him, is I think, after you guys kind of drained the wide receiver value here, I was looking at the board and who's best, and I think it was, the running backs, whether it was, I don't care who you pick out of Chase Brown, Kyron, Breece Hall, James Cook, any of those guys, but I thought it was pretty clear. Take one of those guys. I didn't have a running back yet, or maybe reach for a QB, and then 3 QBs went immediately after I took Chase Brown.
Yeah. Runs are a pain in the ass. That happens sometimes here on the program. Let's get the rest of the picks here as we get to the turn. We have Kyron Williams and Lamar Jackson at 309, back-to-back with Josh Allen at 310. Then Mike Evans gets selected, Jaden Daniels at 312, and then 401 DJ Moore. Jake, some rumblings there early that DJ Moore is getting, rave reviews from Ben Johnson. He reminds me a lot of Amon-Ra. Could we see a huge season here in 2025 from DJ Moore?
I'm actually out on DJ Moore as a huge season. I just think it's not the problem with DJ Moore. I think it's everybody. There's talent across the entire landscape of that team where you and I talked about this almost like a month ago at this point. It's not that I don't like DJ Moore, but I think Odunze is a threat. I think Burton is a threat, and the reason why is because all of them can be Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think to different levels, if you had a pecking order, you'd probably say DJ Moore first, but they can all play inside. They can all play outside, again, to differing levels of execution. But I just think it might be a wide receiver by committee when we're not even including the fact that Colston Loveland's going to be involved, the passes to the backfield. I just think that buy the cake, not the icing. Buy Caleb Williams, and then just take the cheapest of the wide receivers for the Bears and then invest there.
I like cake on ice cream. I like them both, but, what do I know? Diabetes. Let's get to the next one.
You should have went to
here.
ODU. That's their ice cream and cake and cake and ice cream and it's the worst song ever. The ODU is terrible. Yeah.
How did it go?
No, it sounded really deep.
Do it again. How did it go? I
don't think I heard it that first time. Yeah.
You want to try that again?
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Ice cream and cake and cake and ice cream and cake.
Ice cream and cake.
Ice cream and cake. Ice cream and cake. Yeah.
How much in student loans did you pay to learn that song? Just out of curiosity.
None, because that's
you got a free ride. You were making the ice cream. That's what it was.
Yeah.
He was making the ice cream at ODU. After Mike Evans at 311, then Jaden Daniels at 312, DJ Moore 401, and then round 4 starts George Kittle after DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison, James Cook, Breece Hall, Scott Bogman, DK Metcalf, your number 2 wide receiver, but the number 1 in Pittsburgh. So what do you make of the situation of the Steelers wide receiver core right now? Because clearly it's DK Metcalf at the top of that trough and then everybody else behind him. So is that something that makes them just too predictable potentially here in 2025?
I mean, I think it could be a fair argument that maybe they're too predictable. But I do think that, Aaron Rodgers threw still like the 5th most passes in the league last season. Like, he's going to want to throw the ball, He's going to change the plays into throws a lot. They're going to work with him a little bit more than I think we're giving him credit for, even though, the Steelers' offense is built to run. Yes, they're going to run the ball a lot, but I think Rodgers is going to throw a decent amount too. And I think Metcalf is going to be by far the leader in targets. Now, catches, he's not going to have a crazy number, I don't think, but I have Malik Neighbors already, who was second in targets behind Chase last year with bad quarterback plays. So I feel like I've already got receptions, so I'll go ahead and take DK and hope another reception guy falls to me a little bit later.
Fair enough. After DK Metcalf, Ken Walker to Jake Ciely at 407. So your second running back here. Look, Walker flashes some great games, but also flashes on the bench quite a bit with some injuries in his last 2 years here since he come into the league. So, Jake, how do you balance that? I mean, obviously, as a second running back, I think that's much more manageable. He has never played a full season yet, just 11 games last year, but 15 in the previous two. But certainly we'd like to see him get back to that 1,000-yard rushing mark, which he did in his rookie season, but he hasn't since, and that was in 2022.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Kenneth Walker is I reversed course on this. I actually thought there would be more of a split, like a 60-40, similar to what we see with the Steelers, that Charbonnet would be Warren and Kenneth Walker would be Najee Harris, obviously more explosiveness after the catch and just in the open field. But they're both fine in their own right. And then I talked to Michael Sean Duggar of The Athletic, and I said, hey, you cover the Seahawks. You know better than me. What are you seeing? What are you hearing? Is it going to be timeshare? And he responded back with KW9 is bell cow. And I said, all right, check. I'm shifting course here. I'm going to project for a 65, 70% type of split. And in that case, Kenneth Walker was actually a screaming value at that point in the draft because I have him as a fringe RB1 with that kind of workload. If you're going to give that kind of workload, yes, the injuries are a concern at this point. It keeps happening, similar to Jonathan Taylor. But Jonathan Taylor is still going as a second rounder, and nobody wants to take Kenneth Walker there, despite them both having similar injury histories over the past 3 seasons.
I was ready to take him right there. You took him 2 picks before, and that's why we're doing this today, to have some fun here back and forth. So after Walker, Chuba Hubbard, another running back, another one of the guys out of my queue, but onto Welsh's team at 408. So let's talk about this selection. He is your number 2, Welsh, behind Gibbs.
Still volume, receptions. That's what I want. I really like what the Panthers did on the back half of the year, especially Bryce Young just like refinding himself, Tet being in this offense. I think they've got a real ability for targets going deeper, and it just all goes through Chuba Hubbard. So Chuba Hubbard's kind of a value here. I don't care about Rico Dowdle. Again, targeting guys that are not only going to have volume, but are going to be more of the primary players in the receiving game is huge. Chuba Hubbard's kind of a no-brainer. I'll tell you one thing I implemented there was I was paying attention to you, who was right behind me, and you had filled out all your wide receiver spots. And knowing that there were also a multitude of picks in between, I just felt like the best value was at running back with still a queue of wide receivers I like. And I 100% got one of my top 2 options coming back, knowing that you weren't going to have a big focus on running backs and a few other teams as well. There's also some insights on the Draft Wizard that kind of throws out and lets you know, like, hey, by the way, there's some teams that have already got this covered, or this is a thing of need. They kind of were throwing out tight end to me as they were. But Chuba Hubbard was like a no-brainer, probably the best value at that point with the amount of receivers that were there.
And one of those tools is Draft Intel, which is a tool that shows you how your league mates actually draft too. So if you have 5 years of real data from your league, right? You've been playing a league with the same folks for many years. You can sync your leagues, and then basically what Draft Intel will do is it will tell you the tendencies of all of those folks. You know, who likes to draft quarterback early, who likes to go 0 RB, all that stuff, and then it'll create bots that you could draft against. So you're not just drafting against randoms, you're really drafting against bots that are geared towards the way your draft and your league's going to go. And you can only find that at Fantasy Pros. So go check that out, fantasypros.com/intel. That is the way to take your drafting to the next level. Those are the kind of tools that are going to make a difference. Because, look, this is all very useful, the expert consensus, but when you can really make it league-specific, and I mean league-specific, not what you're scoring, but with the actual people in your league, that's where things really get to the next level. Those are the cheat codes, baby. Omarion Hampton is my selection at 409. It's not the guy I wanted, but it's the guy that I will settle for happily. A young running back that I think is going to emerge as the number 1 there over time. However, the Najee Harris slow start to camp here with the little fireworks incident makes me a little bit more Omarion Hampton curious these days. So at 409, I'm happy to take him as my first running back here. Joe Burrow at 410, then Jalen Hurts, Jalen Waddle. Then you have Devonta Smith at 501, Calvin Ridley at 502, Rashee Rice at 503. I went another wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, who just got paid today. I keep telling everybody, like, this is the guy. stop trying to make excuses. Stop trying to sell me on Vele and Mims and a tight end that was hurt all last year and Evan Ingram. Like, sure, maybe those guys will help out. The guy is Cortland Sutton, 135 targets last year, 81 receptions, 8 touchdowns. I think that's pretty much a copy and paste season with a little bit of room for more. Next up is the Welsh. You took Zay Flowers at 505.
One of my big targets, like I said, I looked and I was looking at Flowers. I was looking at Sutton. I was looking at Tataroa. Those were the main guys. But Flowers is a wide receiver 3. I mean, just get out of here. Absolutely get out of here. With Lamar Jackson's ability to not only avoid interceptions, but like the volume that he had, the efficiency that he had last year. Zay Flowers is the guy. They're still going to get the ball to Mark Andrews, and you're going to get Isaiah Likely in there, but he is the guy. He's the big play option as well. I would say some of his value may be held down by the lack of touchdowns, final 6 games of the season not having touchdowns, but I love a volume play here, and I think it's like tremendous upside from a relative position value, as the great Joe Pisapia would say, as a wide receiver 3. Zay Flowers is absolutely at the tippy top of the list. So if I was getting Sutton or him, that was really my main target. McMillan is also one I'm super happy with, but I got one of my main targets in Flowers, so it really worked out.
Yeah, and the RPV that you're doing right now is exactly the stuff I'm doing too. So I have Jefferson, my wide receiver 1 is a 1. Tyreek Hill could easily be the top 3 overall guy, top 5 overall guy. He's my wide receiver 2. That creates an advantage. Same thing's Adams as my 3. He is more of a 1A, so that is a huge advantage on a weekly basis. So even though I'm hurting in running back, I'm going to take some shots. Hopefully things work out, and that's got the most turnover anyway. So we'll see if I can make this risky running back room work. But Cortland Sutton, another guy who is, a guy who finished last year right outside, the top 12 at wide receiver 15. He is my 4, so I'm very happy with how this is going. Zay Flowers, then Xavier Worthy to Jake Ciely. So Jake, what do you make of the situation here as we kind of await Rashee Rice doom? I feel like this is every year now, and it's getting a little old. But Xavier Worthy, certainly a guy that, you saw some flashes towards the end of last year and into the playoffs. Your expectations for him in 2025, how good can he be? Last year, wide receiver 33.
Well, wide receiver 33, but what I was saying before this possible suspension that all of a sudden popped back up, a lot of people were talking 2026, and I'm not one of those legal experts, but it sounds like it's somewhere going to probably 6 to 8 games. But the point being before that is look at the end of Worthy's season, the end of it. It was the end of Rice's rookie season that everybody was getting bananas and excited for. And I'm not saying Rice didn't start like gangbusters last year, but he also started before the fact that Worthy was really involved a lot. And then Worthy had the end of the season with no Rice. And I'm not saying I wouldn't take Rice over Worthy. I'm just saying I expected more of a share between the two of them. And everybody's saying that Rashee Rice was just going to walk into 130-plus targets just because he was back and questionably healthy. So I think Worthy with no Rashee Rice has similar upside. They do a lot of the similar things. And I actually think that if you were talking about both of them being on the field, Rice would be more of the intermediate option, with Worthy more of what we used to see from Tyreek Hill. Again, not calling him Tyreek Hill. I'm just saying I think there's a lot of upside for Worthy that was already there before and now even more so with the suspension. To have him here, he's not going to be there in 3 to 4 weeks.
Boggs, I love what you did with the next pick, 507, Tet McMillan, because that's a guy I think is going to get a ton of volume there. His receiving prop this year is ridiculous. Sorry, I've already bet the over on it because it's just absurd. You've seen these wide receivers come in the league and drop 1,000-yard receiving seasons, and it feels like he will be the main target for Bryce Young this year, and he is your wide receiver 3.
Yeah, and it makes me feel like I really threaded the needle here because I went with Malik Neighbors with all the targets, right? And then I went with DK Metcalf, who, he's more of a big play touchdown guy. And then, I was thinking, well, look, if Sutton doesn't fall back to me, maybe Flowers, maybe Worthy, but I prefer Tet because I feel like he's going to get just peppered with targets with Carolina. We talked about how bad that defense is still and, how they're looking for a number 1, and they should be playing from behind a lot. And I think McMillan's going to be peppered with targets this season. So I thought it really threaded the needle, and I was happy that I still got him, in this row of sharks here.
Well, that they're all lined up together here. By the way, I'm really pissed at you because the next round you took the guy that I wanted, and we're going to have words here. Chris Olave, 508, then Joe Mixon, Sam Laporta, Jamison Williams getting a lot of positive buzz in camp this year. DeAndre Swift at 512, followed by RJ Harvey at 601. I guess Team 12 is the Debro bot. Patrick Mahomes at 602, James Conner, Travis Hunter, Jerry Jeudy, and then at 606, the guy that I thought, slam dunk, I'm definitely going to get TreVeyon Henderson. No, I'm not, because Scott Bogman took him from me, and I am pissed off. This is the big play guy. This is the explosive guy. He doesn't have to be the every down back for me, but this is a guy that I'm targeting as one of my RB2s for sure, and you must be happy to get him here as yours.
Yeah, a little bit of a risk, right, because Ramondre's still there. So for a rookie season, just a touch of a risk, but a guy that is killer in pass pro, a killer as a pass receiver as well. So getting him in a PPR league, I think, makes a lot of sense here as my number 2, and hopefully I can back him up with some, floor players in the next couple rounds.
Speaking of
He
floor,
wasn't getting
David
to you because I was pissed that he took him.
I was also upset, so he was at the top of
good.
my queue. So.
Okay, so we're
There we
all
go.
equally. And Bogman, we all hate you, so I
Love
hope
it.
you're enjoying that.
And I'm doing
David
something
Montgomery went to Jake Ciely next at 607. Some people say, touchdown regression's not going to have blah, blah, blah. He's not going to score as many touchdowns. But I'm kind of in the I'll believe it when I see it camp at this point with him. I mean, back-to-back years of double digits. I think he could easily do that again. And this is your third RB on this team.
Right.
Curious, why go RB here when you had upside wide receivers still out there like Odunze, like Pickens, and Chris Godwin still on the board, Jake? I'm just curious from a roster perspective why you made that move.
I'll go back to something at the top, and this is why everybody should do the mock draft simulator. Look at that. I'm even a man of the people just like you guys.
Look at you. So
I
good.
wanted to see what the roster construction would end up like. Just because I was looking at Montgomery and only about 1 or 2 other running backs, I was going to go Henderson if Boggs let him go, just because that upside third option with the risk of Kenneth Walker's health. And I'm with you that David Montgomery might be getting too much hate at this point to where he's a decent value. I don't think he'll replicate last season, but at this point, I'm looking at the cost between the two, wide receiver and running back, and I said, I'll take a running back. Let's see what comes back around. Another one where I probably would have gone wide receiver and come back around. It looks like the running backs are dropping. Again, this is a mock. 8 of these teams aren't real people, but they're pretty well simulated. I think it's what you're saying there is like, why did I do it? Because I wanted to try it out. I wanted to see. I would probably do something different next time around.
They may not
Why
be
did I do
real,
it?
but it won't stop Jake from hating their guts.
Why did I do
Oh, I
it?
hate Team
Because
8.
I
I hate Team 8 for round 7 when we get to it. Or actually, round 8 when we get to it. Round 8. 8:05.
All right, let's move on here. Next pick here was another running back that I thought, okay, if I can't get Trevion Henderson, I'll get Caleb Johnson. No, wrong, sorry, because Welsh took him at 608.
We're getting to the interesting part of this mock.
Now
stacking
we're
us
having
all
fun.
up here.
Round 6 of the draft is really
I was
begun,
considering Caleb, too.
Look, and this again. Here's why I'm pissed at you guys. They're both your third running backs that you guys are doing too, and I'm still looking at 1. So this really irritated me.
Yeah, it's the best thing on the planet for people like you that are
mission
sitting out there.
accomplished.
You're just like,
yeah,
I'm
make
going to
Joe
get
mad.
all the value at running backs. Nope. I want to have a core 3 guy. I
swear
thought
we
about
like each
Montgomery
other,
because I have Gibbs, but I was locked into Trevion Henderson, especially in this format. I think he's going to get balls out of the backfield as far in the air. And Caleb Johnson, is like one of my top guys. Like Trevion, I think has some higher upside play, but I think Caleb can immediately just walk into that Najee Harris role, be a guy in the red zone. So to have a little bit of protection, I did have a really big quandary though. You mentioned George Pickens. I was like, Pickens or Caleb. I thought there was still some value at wide receiver. I went with Caleb, but I will tell you, it just went da-da-da-da-da-da. Like all the guys I was hoping one would fall back, not a single one fell back. So that was brutal. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Ice cream and cake?
Yep.
No, please, no, never
No.
again. Oh my God, seriously, I have no idea what that was.
Mister.
By the way, fun fact, I never knew this. I told Welsh this morning because we were talking about leading off. I never noticed in all the times I saw Happy Gilmore that Chubbs was wearing all Lacoste stuff with the little alligator on it. His shirts, his sweaters.
Was his awesome
hat.
son character in 2 also
No,
doing
his
that?
son character in 2 is terrible, but that's really funny looking back on it, and I never noticed. Have you got Boggs? Did you ever notice that?
No,
that he was
I don't
wearing
think
stuff
I
with
did.
the alligator on it.
I
You
mean,
know
I
what I'm
think I
talking about. Ciely's
noticed
got a
that
million of
I
those
knew
shirts.
he had like the yellow sweater vest. or
Yeah, but they
whatever
were
with
all
the
they were
alligator
all
on
little
it.
ones with the
But I didn't
alligator.
realize it was everything he wore had that.
Really
No,
funny.
Jack Nicklaus, but I get that a lot.
Good details.
All right, after Caleb Johnson, all the
I'm
running
just going to
backs
start
are gone
throwing
that I
out
wanted.
random lines for mine.
Just to make Welsh irritated.
Guys are hilarious.
I pivoted completely. TJ Hawkinson. Yes, I have Justin Jefferson too, so that's fine. I'm in for a penny, in for a pound, just like Ciely here with his Eagles. But again, if you're going to invest in good offenses, invest in the ones that you believe in and the players you believe in. And I think Hawkinson is going to benefit a great deal with a rookie quarterback too. You see it time and time again. Rookie QBs come in and really lean on those tight ends. So I think that's going to be a good move for me. And then after that selection, I'm going to have to make my pick right here. Jake, while I'm making my pick, will
Yes.
you muse for me for a moment about the Jacksonville Jaguars backfield, especially now that we are looking at, Liam Cohn being there, how you see that working out between the three guys, Tootin, and, of course, Bigsby and Etienne?
I see it as just take them at cost right now because they're all worthwhile costs. It could be Bigsby, who looked better than Etienne last year. It could be Etienne, who's, by the way, been on passing downs and 2-minute drills and was just 2 years ago top 5 running back in fantasy. And, yes, that was very first half of the season heavy. But I think the answer there is, I want one of those two and just take whichever one's going cheaper between the two because – I had Tootin concerns before this. You guys know this. I really thought that he might be a timeshare piece at best as a rookie. I do think he can be like Tyrone Tracy was last year, but that's when a lot of things fell into Tyrone Tracy's lap, as in Devin Singletary was toast. If Etienne and Bigsby look like trash, sure, let's talk Tootin, but I just don't think it will be at this point. I think we're going to see they're looking for an answer, but let's also remember that it wasn't like he completely went to Bucky Irving last year. It was most of the season that he still had Rachaad White involved. So I think people are maybe a little too optimistic thinking they're going to get a Bucky Irving with the Jaguars when it could just be, hey, a very nice low-level RB2 and be happy with that because at cost for Bigsby or Etienne, you're getting hell of value back on both of them if either one of them are.
After TJ Hawkinson, Chris Godwin goes. I was back and forth on that one. If I had to do it again, I probably would have taken Godwin, though. But too many reads, too much going on. Khalil Shakir, no excuses. No excuses. I'm still going to win this draft. Jacoby Myers ends the 6th round. Beginning the 7th round, Baker Mayfield at 701, then George Pickens, Rome Odunze. I selected Tony Pollard as my RB2 at 704. I feel pretty decent about that. Again, Tajay Spears, I do find myself in recent mock drafts, and I just did one with our Discord folks right before coming on here. I find myself starting to draft a lot more Tajay Spears, so we'll see how that goes for me. But look, 1,000 yards rushing last year, 1,000 yards rushing in 2023, 1,000-yard rushing season in 2022. So for all the Tony Pollard haters out there, suck it. What are we doing here? Why do we keep hating on Tony Pollard? So I'll take that value. Then we had back-to-back tight ends. Look at this. Travis Kelce to the Welsh and Evan Ingram to Jake Ciely. A classic.
I only did that for you, Joe, if anybody knows. So I could say, Evan Ingram!
Oh, my God. So for those of you who don't know, believe it or not, after listening to the show, Jake Ciely, not a big indulger of the alcoholic beverages or the fun things that one might on occasion smoke or drink.
He's just not a big fun guy. Okay,
he's not a big guy. He's not big on fun.
I was CM Punk before CM Punk was CM Punk.
That's right. Straight edge. But what Jake's superpower is hilarious is when he is overtired. That is the equivalent of Jake on a substance. And it is the funniest thing ever. And one time we were doing a radio show together and he just kept screaming Evan Ingram and no one understood what the context was. And he just kept laughing. And we were all really concerned that somebody put something in his mineral water or something was going on.
In his mineral water.
It's like, can I get a hint? I like that hint water with just a little bit of grapefruit flavor. Just a little bit. Not too much. Not too much. I don't want to throw Jake's equilibrium off. But let's get to the first tight end selected here because the first one here was Travis Kelce. So Kelce at the edge of the career here, Welsh. Why go Kelce over, let's say, all the touchdowns of Mark Andrews last year or the upside potentially of Evan Ingram with the Broncos?
Yeah, I mean, he is not as good of a tight end as he is an astute actor, as that great waiter role. He's a phenomenal actor. Is that why you took him just
because he was in the movie?
I got to get him some more work here. Phenomenal acting job he did having honey smeared all over him. That was really great. But more than anything else is that that's what we're there for.
Are you going to draft Reggie Bush next?
If I could. I didn't even know he was in it
ball.
until 8 minutes ago. But it's the catches. Like in a half PPR format, I actually would have gone Ingram over him. But he still finished tight end 5 with having 3 total touchdowns and being a shell of himself. He is going to, we want to talk about getting peppered with targets. He's going to get peppered with targets this year. Now, the quality of the catches are in question. I would say him coming off of like the lowest touchdown total of his career, I think outside of his rookie season, there's a positive regression touchdown element to this as long as he can, stay healthy and maybe lay off a couple of those awesome acting jobs. But like all those catches in full PPR, that's the difference to jump him up. I was really considering another wide receiver at that point, but I thought it was too good to pass up because we just know he's going to have 90-plus catches.
You said it's simply too good?
Simply too good.
All right. Ciely, Evan Ingram, everybody keeps making the easy equation. Hey, Bo Nix at low ADOT, let's go get Evan Ingram there, another target for him that can be that lower intermediate target. So are you buying that narrative, not just because it's a funny pick because of our history together with Evan Ingram, where you just scream it intermittently for no reason, but Evan Ingram here potentially coming off a down year because of injury. However, the year before that, 963 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was tight end 2 that season.
Well, he's going to be the Joker. So, yeah, everybody's super excited about this. This is one where I'm with you. I don't want to say 90% of it was just to make the joke with the relevance between you and me going back to the days. But I would not normally take Ingram there. Maybe I just take a chance. The PPR he is. But I think this is going to be another one, similar to my argument about the Bears, but even more so, is it's Courtland Sutton and then everybody. Like, they're talking up Veely, they're talking up Pat Bryant as a rookie, they're talking about, so Troy Franklin's got connection again that Bo Nix had back in college, and then RJ Harvey at the back. I think this could be, he could be the Joker, but that doesn't mean the Joker that he had with Jimmy Graham. This isn't going to be 140 targets, which if you go to Evan Ingram, he really needs about 110, 120 just
this
to get
is the
that
Leto
top 10
Joker.
value.
This is the Leto Joker.
The second.
Not even a good
no.
Joker.
I was gonna say the second Joker movie, but yeah, that's a good one too. The Leto, basically the musical. But it's worth a chance. What if he does get 110, 120 targets? Then it's fine in the 7th round. But I'd probably still wait to the end rounds to take like a Loveland or a flyer on Brenton Strange or somebody like that.
Would you have taken Kelsey if I had taken Ingram?
Actually, yes. I actually had Kelsey ready to go.
Okay, good.
There you go.
Excellent.
Next pick here, you have, after the 2 tight ends, Isaiah Pacheco at 707 to Scott Bogman. So, Boggs, let's discuss this one here. Isaiah Pacheco, again, you're going very running back heavy now. Is this just the pivot because of all the wide receivers I've taken, or just to make a statement here about your approach even in a PPR league?
No, I mean, this is, I have my 3 starting wide receivers and a starting tight end at this point. So I waited the longest to get my 2nd starting running back, which was Travion Henderson. And as I mentioned last time, the variance could be enormous for him, specifically to start the season. So I just went with Isaiah Pacheco here because I think he's completely underrated. And I thought there were a grip of wide receivers I wanted to come back to me that all got drafted before my next pick, so I ended up going with another RB. But the whole point to taking Pacheco was I think he is being overlooked a little bit, and this is the depth I like at running back right here is this range, because I think there's a lot of good ones left, which makes me more willing to take that tight end risk earlier in the draft like I did with Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I'm starting to warm up to the idea of Brock Bowers, especially in some of the Superflex leagues too, where that value gets pushed a little bit, and sometimes you're like, late 2nd, early 3rd, all of a sudden, maybe I can make that work a little bit differently. Looking at the rest of the picks here after Bogman's selection of Pacheco, we have Mark Andrews, Jordan Addison, Juwan Jennings, Aaron Jones, and then Stephon Diggs, who looks really good so far in training camp. 712, followed by Ricky Pearsall at 801, then Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Deebo Samuel, Justin Fields, and then Scott Bogman went running back again, 806. This isn't a standard league, Boggs. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I understand. Well, see, the problem here was between Pacheco and the Brian Robinson pick. There were 10 guys that went between there, and I had Addison, Jennings, Diggs, and Pearsall all ready to go. Even Deebo was kind of in the back of my mind on that list, and they all went in front of me. So to me, it was between Brian Robinson and some rookies that I like that went, and some vets, but Brian Robinson was just clearly the best player left to me. So I had to go ahead and take him because he was BPA by a
Are you kidding me?
God, I know. Same here. I just went, Bogman's such a guy.
What? Do you like the pick or you don't like the pick?
No, we both
took
got
Kyle Williams
sniped. Yeah,
we're
we're far behind in the draft, but we both just got sniped.
Joe, you've Joe sniped me on 2 running backs in a row, and then freaking Boggs just took the wide receiver. I was ready to
same.
Well, don't spoil that, everyone. Let's run through these then.
I didn't say their names.
Jake Ciely at 807. Matthew Golden is the selection. Go ahead. Talk about Matthew Golden here, and I'll go make my pick.
Yeah, fun.
I don't even want to anymore. Matthew Golden.
You have to.
Look, the collection of wide receivers to the Packers, there's been talk about whether or not they're going to pass more this year and get back to what they like to do. Even if they don't, we're really looking for Golden to step in and be what they hope Christian Watson could be, and that's healthy, but also a big play threat, and they're number 1. Do I think he's a true number 1? No, but I think he has the best upside, be the 1, and then push Reed and Dobbs to the 2/3, and the rest there? Yeah, absolutely. In a PPR, probably not as interesting in a non-PPR as Golden could be, because I think Golden could push top 30, even top 25 in a non-point PPR or non-PPR. But I think Golden should be immediately They're their number one option. I think he has the potential to hit 1,000 yards and 6-7 touchdowns as a rookie.
Welsh, you took the, whatever's left of Cooper Kupp at 808. A little surprising there. Let's talk about that. Certainly, I mean, the injuries alone concerning, but again, new situation, bad offensive line here, potentially. Sam Darnold playing quarterback. Why the Cooper Kupp pick here?
It's receptions. Again, if this is half PPR, my interest is probably a tiny bit lower, but I think Cooper Kupp provides a floor. I don't see Darnold as a negative. I would also see, maybe some overall poor defense or even offense is just going to have them slinging the ball a whole bunch. So, I mean, Cooper Kupp is probably not going to be obviously a big deep threat guy, but he's still going to get his targets. So I don't think it's this huge ceiling play here, but this is wide receiver 4 for me. And you'll also see the play I do with the next pick as well, that this is kind of a bye-week floor player. If things work on the positive, he has some health, he's revived, Darnold gets them ramping up. Maybe I have a couple more points on the upside, but I think there's a relative floor. He's catching 4 or 5 games, obviously, unless he's completely broken and they got themselves a lemon. I really think as a wide receiver 4, Cooper Kupp isn't like the worst place to be, but I was also caught in that previous range. I wanted like Addison. There's a bunch of guys I wanted that we had this huge wide receiver run, so I had to play a little bit of a pivot.
All right. Travis Etienne goes to me at 809. Then Jalen Warren, Tajee Spears goes next. I was hoping he would make it back to me so I could command the Titans backfield, but more on that in just a second. Emeka Buka goes to the end of the 8th round. 901. Jaden Reed, J.K. Dobbins, Najee Harris. I took Cam Scatterboo, which is the equivalent of one of my fingers here in the middle to Scott Bogman here. Brandon Ayuk, that's what you get for taking Travion Henderson from me earlier.
Which finger?
It's one of these 5. I'm not gonna tell you which one, but I'm gonna let you guys guess.
Finger. The ring.
There's a
See,
ring.
It's a ring one.
Nothing like a good ring finger. So Brandon Ayuk goes next to Chris Welsh because Welsh just can't not take a 49er here, right, Welsh? I mean, come on, let's go. What could go wrong? A guy coming off the ACL injury here, and
sure, wide receiver 5. What could go wrong? Again, I'm playing upside here, man. Like I definitely got killed with Kyle Williams. Like that was the play I wanted to piece with all of this, and it's like, oh, you got your great upside play, but I don't need Ayuk for the first 6 weeks if I don't want to. I mean, obviously Cooper Kupp could be a disaster.
I'm still mad at you for choking me out.
But check this out. If I have a decent Cooper Kupp for the first part of the season and then he breaks and Brandon Ayuk is fixed by that time, I might be able to piece together a wide receiver 2 between floor and upside on both of these players. So that's a number 1 theoretical in that offense when healthy, and I don't even have to think about him for a long time for my bye week. So as a wide receiver 5, ideal. It's just like it would have looked so much better with a guy like Kyle Williams with it, but that's why I paired kind of Kupp and Ayuk to become one player that is not currently starting on my roster.
Jake, why is everyone, I mean, I like Kyle Williams, the talent, for sure, no doubt about that. But if history teaches us anything, it's that slot wide receiver in the Patriots offense is the one you want for fantasy, and that's probably Demario Douglas. Isn't that the guy people should be targeting late?
I think there's no upside with Demario Douglas because you're not even talking 10 yards per reception. What is he going to? He's Wan'Dale Robinson. He's going to need 170 targets and 110 receptions.
But this is PPR, I'm just saying. Unless you're like Efton Chisholm more.
No, and I don't think it's going to be him. And I think that saying that the slot receiver in the Patriots offense is like kind of the chicken and the egg. It's like, yeah, well, 2 things. That's a different offense from back then, and I know we got the return. But I don't know necessarily he's going to run back the exact same offense just because Vrabel's back there and just because McDaniels is back there. It's also the weapons that are on the field. You know, we go back to how many years we were talking about the Eagles. We're like, oh, they never use a bell cow until they had an option to be a bell cow. And I know, again, Doug Peterson, different regime, but I'm just bringing up the point. Andy Reid with his running backs. Talent matters. You shift it sometimes because of talent. If you're going down this depth chart, you just said it, you like Kyle Williams. He has the most upside. If I'm wrong and I have to drop him week 2, I don't care because now we're talking my 3rd option on the bench here. If it's Demario Douglas, I missed out on Demario Douglas, I'm not going to care that I missed out on a wide receiver 4. That's not going to break and win my league for me.
All right. Darnell Mooney goes to you at 906. Would you like to share with me?
You pause because I was talking that whole thing. That's why I messed up with the Darnell Mooney pick is because I'm in the middle of trying to make a pick and talk to you at the same time.
Keep asking him.
Listen, pal, I'm recapping picks, making picks. I'm selling people on
bud.
You paused your pick like 17 times.
All right. Why don't you talk to me about Darnell Mooney?
You can roll it back up.
Make your pick, guy.
No, Jake's having a panic attack. I want him to talk about Darnell Mooney.
His face is very red.
We'll move on to the next.
I got some sun recently also, to be fair.
Jake touched grass for 30 seconds.
It was, and that's all it takes to get sunburnt for me. Can you? I'll make my pick. Start it back up, and then I'll talk Darnell Mooney while you guys get ready.
Is this what a crash out is? Is this what they call a crash out?
This is it. Go ahead and say it. Evan Ingram. Say it. Say it.
Ice cream and cake.
Evan Ingram.
He almost spit his water up right
Look
there.
at him. He can't even contain himself.
Take a
He's
deep
bright
breath.
red.
It's okay. The crash out.
right.
I would have actually taken Shaheed and not Darnell Mooney there, but similar player, similar upside.
I think you're wrong. I think you did better taking Darnell Mooney.
Me
so
too.
maybe, yeah, you should say you're welcome, Joe. That's what you should say. Keon Coleman to you, Scott Bogman. Can year 2 be more kind to Keon?
Yeah, look, he doesn't need that much more to get way better. He had all those catches on, or all those yards on like 13 catches. All he has to do is get up to 70 catches and he'll be amazing. So I just think that there's ample opportunity for someone else to lead the Bills in receiving yards, and I would not be shocked if it was.
I wonder why the draft was just paused. Who's on the clock?
I have to recap all these
Here he
picks.
goes.
you
It's
jerk.
still happening. This panic attack is still going.
I know, right? Rashid Shaheed, Quinshon Judkins, Rashad White, Marquise Brown. Plus, if I pick, the draft will end, and then nobody will be able to talk
Why
about
don't you
their
guys
picks,
go
so I
settle
have to
this
pause.
on the 7-hole maxi course, guys? It's just how real stars do.
You wouldn't watch that? You wouldn't watch something like that? Obviously not to that extreme. You wouldn't watch something like that?
I would probably watch it.
I would probably.
Yes, you would.
Although
Yes, exactly.
I'm already annoyed at the Savannah Bananas.
Shut the
Welsh
hell
already
up and
knows
enjoy
this.
life, Welsh.
I would. I just said it would.
Javonte
sip of
Williams,
water.
Tyrone Tracy at the turn. 10th round, Tracy, Trey Harris, Zach Charbonnet, Austin Eckler, Ramondre Stevenson. Bogman selects Bo Nix. You got your QB here. Another QB, Caleb Williams goes to Jordan Mason, Christian Kirk to me. After Christian Kirk, David Njoku, Bashal Tootin, Luther Bird, and Jonnu Smith. 11:02, Jaden Higgins. I'm pissed off about that. I was trying to pair Higgins and Kirk. That did not work out for me. Jake Ferguson. Then I took Tank Bigsby because, again, I'm trying to control at least one backfield because I couldn't get Spears and Pollard. So instead, I'm going to have ATN and Bigsby. So I'm sure Tootin will end up being the guy. Isaac Garendo goes next to the Welsh. So Welsh, you took Jordan Mason, Isaac Garendo, 2 RBs back to back. How do you feel about fortifying that backfield?
I love that. I mean, probably I think Jordan Mason might still be number 1 in the consensus sleeper ranks over on Fantasy Pros. It's not even like a sleeper at this point, but just a lot of people assume on the back half of the year he's going to be able to take that over. Garendo is my RB5. That is just purely a play to laugh at the Christian McCaffrey owner if it doesn't work out, and if McCaffrey goes down, Garendo becomes a top 10 RB. So I think it is well worth the risk. I've created myself enough depth, upside. Caleb doesn't work out. Mason might. It's exactly how I want to put this stuff together, especially when I'm doing running backs.
Okay, next up after that, Ciely, you took Jerome Ford. So we're going to recap that when we go through here. Wan'Dale Robinson, you made fun of him, and Bogman said, hey, stop that. And then he got mad at you, and his next pick, he took Kyler Williams to spite you. So after Wan'Dale Robinson, Quentin Johnson, Colston Loveland, Ray Davis, Roshan Johnson. Then at the turn, Tucker Kraft, starting the 12th round, Jaden Blue, Rico Dowdle, Cedric Tillman, Trey Benson, Jalen Wright, Kyle Williams. So Bogman building out those wide receivers, Wan'Dale and Williams. Then back to Ciely, continuing to take his shots at RB. Tyler Algier, a proven guy there. Obviously in that Atlanta backfield, if something should happen to Bijan. Rashad Bateman to Welsh. Who knows how many games he'll play? That's the fun of having Rashad Bateman on your team. Kyler Murray to me at 12:09. I want to take another quarterback, but Welsh did not let that happen. More to come on that. Nick Chubb flying up the draft boards nowadays with the Mixon news. We'll see if that's the correct answer. Braylon Allen, Blake Corum, and then Dylan Sampson starts the 13th round. Marvin Mims, DeAndre Hopkins. I took Adam Thielen, then Brock Purdy, Joshua Palmer. Palmer getting a lot of buzz, Jake. Is this one of these classic camp things that we go, oh, this is buzz, this is good, and then we completely let down the season? Or do you think this Palmer buzz early on is for real?
You can have them both. They don't have to be mutually exclusive because he's a 13th rounder. Hell, take him in the 11th rounder if he's the number 2 or the number 1 option on this team. Shakir, number 1 probably in targets, but he could be that being Palmer, the number 1 in value. Like we've seen Joshua Palmer do it before. So do I think Palmer is a classic number 1 wide receiver in the NFL? No. But can he be the best option for the Bills? Absolutely. 11th, again, 2 rounds earlier. 11th round, if you're wrong, again, you're cutting him in week 2. Cool. It was 11th round pick. Who cares? If he's a top 30 wide receiver, boom, you just have a potential somebody to win your league.
J.J. McCarthy goes to Bogman here, and here's the home stretch. Tyler Warren, Dalton Kincaid, Dallas Goedert, Romeo Doubs, Kyle Pitts. Kareem Hunt begins the final round after
Can
Hunt.
I pause
Jared
you right
Goff.
there?
What?
Right there is no. I just want to pause you. Right there is why I wouldn't even take Ingram, because Warren, Kincaid, Goddard, who's never not been a tight end 1 in points per game, and Pitts are all in round 13, and you want to take a 7th on Ingram? That's why I just wouldn't do it.
You have too many Eagles already. What are you doing? Goddard,
Where's the
Dobbs,
value?
Kyle Pitts, Kareem Hunt. After Kareem Hunt, Jared Goff, Marshawn Lloyd, Justice Hill, Drake May. I was hoping he would make it to me, or Dak Prescott, but yeah, that didn't happen either. Pat Bryant. So, Boggs, you took J.J. McCarthy here, second QB for you behind Bo Nix. Why the second QB? Are you really not believing in Bo Nix, or
No,
just
honestly,
wanted some exposure to him?
It's just in case McCarthy is awesome, because I love any quarterback going into Kevin O'Connell's system, any quarterback that has Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson, Aaron Jones to throw to, and the play calling of Kevin O'Connell. I just think the system's great. I want to roster J.J. McCarthy this year because I think he's going to have an enormous season. I took a look at the options around. I wasn't really impressed, so I went with the backup quarterback, which is rare for me. I usually don't do that.
Pat Bryant goes to Boggs with his last pick, then Brashard Smith, last pick to Ciely, Dak Prescott, Welsh, damn you. Then I ended up taking Justin Herbert as my second QB behind Kyler Murray, C.J. Stroud, Raheem Mostert, Zach Ertz. I got a B+. Well, let's see where everybody else lands. The Welsh at the top of the board, number 1 in our hearts. So the guy who has no heart, who doesn't love comedy or anything joyful, it's no wonder he's at the top of this.
Taste.
Team 12 at number 2, Team 9 at number 3, Joe Pisapia at number 4, Scott Bogman number 5, Jake Ciely dead last. Jake Ciely. This is what happens when you drink and draft. See what happens when you get
this is the adjustment, and you guys know this is the adjustment, and people need to update their ranks, because you tell me Barkley, Walker, Montgomery for my first 3, Brown, McLaurin, Worthy for my first 3, with Golden and Mooney, and if throw Ingram in there, Caleb Williams, tons of value. The Jerome Ford. That's a hell of a value at that point with the Judkins situation. I think you just look at this team and, like, sure, you want to call it last place, this would not finish last place.
That seems like something we call in the business rationalization, folks. Rationalization. So, Ciely, who did like your draft? Since, obviously, Draft Wizard did not.
Myself. I don't know.
Well, obviously. Why don't you look at the expert opinions, you jerk?
Oh, here. Three big names that I would... Jacob Gibbs, Pierre Camus, and Andy Behrens. So, there you go.
Those are 3 good people there.
Guess who? Oh, I got to point this out.
Guess who hates it?
Look at it.
Guess who hates it?
Yeah, guess who
Joe
hates it the second
Pisapia.
most? Joe Pisapia, the second biggest hater of that draft. You got to love that.
Good. That serves you right, Ciely. Well, it's because you took Barkley. I think I am lower on Barkley for those good reasons.
Probably.
That's why it is. Well, let's take a look at your team, though. And in all honesty, let's be fair here. It's not a last-place team, obviously. And Jake's right. Jake's also taking shots on players he believes in, and the same thing that Derek does. And you should pay attention to this. Like, grades are cool and fun, but you should get the players you want first and foremost. Caleb Williams as your starting QB. Saquon Barkley, Ken Walker, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Xavier Worthy, Evan Ingram, David Montgomery as the flex. Evan Ingram! Then you had Matthew Golden, Darnell Mooney, Jerome Ford, Tyler Algier, Josh Palmer, and Brashard Smith. I think this is like a middle-of-the-road team. I'll be honest with you, Jake. I don't think it's a last-place team. I think it's a solid team. I think this is like a 6 out of the 12, somewhere in that.
Yeah, because you hate it.
Jake,
Like a Happy Gilmore 2 team.
Let me ask you, would you normally pair Saquon with K9?
I have no problem with it. I'm like,
Okay.
this is the thing is, I don't care. Who cares about finishing third? Like, that's the thing. Like, my bench is the same thing. I don't care of having a wide receiver 5 or RB4 on my bench. I want top 25 upside on my bench. I want potential first place team. I don't care if I'm third. I don't care if I'm fourth. I don't care if I'm 11th because I'm going for first place.
I was going to say, you do seem to care a little bit that you're 12th today. Just saying.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
No, actually,
both
I
of them
know
get hurt,
that
you
I'm
finish
not
12th.
just by the fact that you hate it.
I'm breaking your balls. All right, let's get to Bogman's draft next up here. Bo Nix, Chase Brown, Travion Henderson, Malik Neighbors, Ted McMillan, DK Metcalf, Brock Bowers. Then you have Isaiah Pacheco, Brian Robinson, J.J. McCarthy, Keon Coleman, Kyle Williams, Wan'Dale Robinson, Pat Bryant. A little dynasty here, which, of course, I wouldn't expect anything less from Scott Bogman from the Dynasty podcast here around the Fantasy Pros. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Boggs, do you think that youth might be a challenge here with this team and this
does
kind
it
of roster
scare you?
construction?
No, see, I like good players, so I went ahead and took the good players. Some of them are young. That doesn't bother me at all. No, like I don't really understand I know I have some young guys. I have Tet here.
Well, let's be fair. Bo Nix, second-year player. Travion Henderson, rookie. Malik Neighbors, second-year player. Tech McMillan, first-year player. Brock Bowers, second-year player. J.J.
That's
McCarthy
not even the
hasn't
question
played
I would
yet.
ask him.
Kyle Williams, rookie. Wait, it goes on. And Pat Bryant, first-year player. So that's like 75% of your roster is a first- or second-year player, Boggs.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because we know Tet McMillan is a volume guy already. He hasn't played one down. My young risks are Henderson. Really, that's it. Where I took the rest of these guys, Kyle Williams, who cares? Pat Bryant I took in the very last round. I took those guys bottom of the draft.
So let me ask you, Boggs, because
Yes.
you asked me a question. So
Yes,
to
please.
loop in, and as part of my answer that Joe cut off, is that if I had more risk at wide receiver, I wouldn't have gone Barkley and I balanced it out. Like I think I'm pretty damn good at wide receiver, but that's why I want to ask you. Would you change anything going back, knowing that Keon Coleman is your fourth, and especially in a PPR, as if something goes wrong at wide receiver for you?
No, because I think I'm boosted by having Brock Bowers as my number one tight end.
Okay.
I think getting one of those top three tight ends means that it's either going to be weird at flex or weird at third wide receiver. I think I avoided most of that here, but not all of it. I do think, anytime you take a quarterback or a tight end high, you're going to have, you're losing a little juice somewhere else. But I'm willing to do that, especially in a PPR, by getting Brock Bowers.
Anytime you take a quarterback, you're going to have a bad time.
You're going to have
a bad
Dude,
time.
I got to say, Welsh, your quarterbacks were killer at the end. I thought you did a perfect job.
You know what I'm most
I
shocked
got-
about? I know Bogman or Joe's got to take this back, but I just want to say I'm shocked, Boggs, that you are not one of your biggest loves of this draft.
Me
You
too.
did not grade your own draft. You usually love your draft with the specific things you do. You did not grade out as a top 5 lover of this draft.
I needed to take more rookies, and I would have liked it, according to
I don't.
Pisapia.
It's funny because Jake was saying about the stability of his wide receivers. I love AJ Brown and McLaurin, but I don't know about stability when it comes. Just respectfully, Jake. Respectfully, Xavier Worthy, Golden, Darnell Mooney, Palmer. Those are all guys that I think have their place. But I mean, basically, there's 2 guys at the top you can count on that
What's wrong
everyone
with
else
Worthy?
I think is a question.
Yeah, I kind of love Worthy. I kind of love Mooney.
Well, here's the thing: if Rushy Rice doesn't get suspended, I don't know how much Worthy
he's getting
is going
suspended.
to pop.
There's no question.
it's not
about it.
I
this
think he
year.
is getting suspended,
No, it's
and
this year.
also he's coming off a major injury.
That's
And
also fair.
how
I
good
think
was
that's the
Worthy at the
biggest
end
thing.
of last season?
That's what I brought up when I took him, but I think the
Yeah,
biggest
Worthy
thing about
didn't
the
knock
Rice
my
one
socks
is
off last year.
no Rice is. I think that what you just said, Joe, is it's happening this year. Is I think people are discounting the fact that we might be looking at a Zeke situation where all of a sudden it's suspended, but it's weeks 5 through 12 or something like that, and then that's killer.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's go to my team, and then we'll get to the winner here, the Welsh. Kyler Murray, Omarion Hampton, Tony Pollard, and then a wide receiver core of Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams. I don't know if you guys have heard of those guys. They're pretty good at football. TJ Hawkinson, Cortland Sutton at the flex in a PPR league, because this is what we're doing here. Justin Herbert is my second QB. Then Cam Scatterbo, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Adam Thielen, Tank Bigsby. Go ahead, Jake. You can lay into this team here. I'll give you the floor.
No, I don't lie into you. I just basically similar to mine of hindsight being 2020. If you knew in looking at this board and how it fell, and then when you wanted Henderson or you still even a Harvey, Connor, or Swift, would you throw Sutton back, go for the running back, and come back because you still could have got a Shakir, Pickens, a Dunes? Again, just a hindsight question. Would you change
Possibly.
it going back? Yeah.
The one what if that I had is actually the what if I mentioned on the show. It's just funny because it's on the breakdown here on Fantasy Pros in the back end. What if you drafted Chris Godwin instead and I waited on tight end and Hawkinson? That was the one regret I had. And Draft Wizard agreed with me that, that was the one thing you did that was stupid. So there you go.
I actually
Thanks,
was
Draft Wizard.
considering when I took Montgomery, I wanted Godwin, but I thought Godwin would make it back into the 7th with everybody being afraid of him.
Yeah, I was taking that risk too, with the injury. But look, you want a player, you got to get a player. That's what you got to do.
You know, one
here.
interesting thing that happened, Joe. You always nobody's ever happy, but you hear some criticism. Sometimes people when they're in the draft assistant, draft wizard, and they're like, "Oh man, I do the heavy wide receiver team and it doesn't score super well." That's the complete opposite here. You didn't exactly punt running back or anything like that, but
No.
you have probably one of the weakest running back cores of going Hampton and especially Pollard is your number 2 with a heavy wide receiver, and you scored out better than both of these guys who have
Well,
better
it's because I
running
took
back situations.
Scatterbo and ATN, and I think it's controlling the backfield too. I have the Jacksonville backfield Scadaboo, I think, is upside there. But look, the core, the strength of this team is Jefferson, Hill, and Adams. Like that, I'm living and dying off that. And you know what? Those are the guys that I'm willing to invest in to do that. All right, the Welsh's team here, the greatest team ever assembled, according to Draft Wizard. Brock Purdy at quarterback, Jahmyr Gibbs, Chuba Hubbard, Lad McConkey, T. Higgins, Zay Flowers, Travis Kelce, Caleb Johnson, Dak Prescott, Cooper Kupp, Brandon Ayuk, Jordan Mason, Isaac Garendo, Rashad Bateman. Break it down for us, Welsh.
It was a beautiful thing. I got the depth that I wanted. I got the starters. Bogman mentioned I paired out, and I've said this, and I've held true to this. If I don't get one of those higher-end quarterbacks, I love just finding a good pairing at the end. Usually it's something like a Caleb Williams and a Purdy or a May and a Prescott. This situation ended up just being Prescott and Purdy, and I mean, you know, we know where Prescott, when he's healthy and right, can be a top 5 quarterback. So I got both of those with no battling issues. I've got depth at running back. I like my wide receiver core. I've got some upside on the bench. You could argue between Kupp and Ayuk and injury stuff. Maybe I kind of made myself a little susceptible. And Bateman, I think that's the only real true argument you can throw in is like the wide receiver depth maybe is a question, but it loved Dak Prescott. It said Dak Prescott was the #1 quarterback in the consensus sleeper rankings. It said both of my quarterbacks, which I took in like the last rounds pretty much, were both steals and values. It did give me, if I had drafted Chris Godwin, apparently he's the guy of the day, at 6'8" instead of and drafted a running back later, which that was the Caleb Johnson situation, I'd have scored even higher than I already did. If you want to check out my expert opinions, Kyle Sopp from Pro Football Network was the most love. Give me a 97 out of 100, as did Scott Pianowski, Dr. Roto, Andy Behrens, and me. I gave me a 96 out of 100.
Travis Soppy, by the way. Get it right.
Sorry. Very, very sorry. As a fellow lover of the Welsh, Soppy. Kyle Soppy loved it most. Jorge
soppy.
Edwards hated everything that I did and put together, but he's wrong, and I'm right. 'Cause I was wrong.
He
All right,
also
don't
loved
forget,
Happy
everybody.
Gilmore, too.
The what?
Don't forget, everybody, we're going to be on our Twitch as well, twitch.tv/fantasypros, not just YouTube. We're there every single day taking your questions. So more fantasy football talk. Go subscribe with your Amazon Prime. Get rid of the commercials. Again, twitch.tv/fantasypros. That's the place to be. Every single day we'll be there. And we want to hear from you. Drop your comments below. Who has the best team? That's what we want to hear. Drop your comments. Subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 300,000. And why is it Bogman? That's it. Ring the bell till it goes ding so you never miss a piece of content here at Fantasy Pros. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, Bogman and Jake Ciely, I'm Evan Ingram. We'll see you later, kids.
God, oh, boy.